Welcome, Rhiannon Butterfield,
Hello.
Disability and Inclusion Development Lead. We're here at the peak today for the Stirling Wheelchair International Invitational. Did I get that right?
I think you did, yes.
I think I got it about right. It's good to see 8 teams
8 teams, 10th year of the competition, which is pretty cool.
and reigning world champions China
Yes.
for the first time. Not the first time we've seen them this year, of course.
No, twice in a year.
Twice in a
Pretty
year.
strong going.
They were pretty dominant at Auchenharvey.
Yes, they were.
And going off their LSD this morning, they may be
Straight on the button.
might be pretty dominant again this week.
Yeah, I'm not actually ever sure I've seen anyone do last stone draw and it land so perfectly.
Yeah, I don't think you could have put it down any better.
No, it was decent.
I'm sure if you and I tried to do that, it'd be quite embarrassing. But that's by the by. Fortunately, that's not why we're here. So, Rhiannon, I'm keen to just have a chat and get a bit of a better understanding for the listeners on what you do and what your role role looks like. So
that is the question. Everything disability and inclusion. So whether that is up in Shetland, down in Stranraer, somewhere in the middle, whether that is wheelchair curling, visually impaired curling, LGBT curling, veterans curling, you name it, I probably have some involvement somewhere.
And curling really is an inclusive sport in a way that other sports that may say they're inclusive, it really is different.
Yeah, I think, inclusion within curling is huge. Not only have you got, options for delivery, so whether that is sliding, whether that is with a stick, whether that is seated with a stick, you've also then got floor curling, which again, you've got all those delivery types. And for somewhere like Shetland, that is their option. Floor curling is their curling. So it very much is inclusive to everyone, whether there's a rink involved or not.
When you talk about floor curling there, do you think that's the biggest opportunity ahead for the sport?
100%. I think that, again, it goes back to everyone can curl, whether they're near a rink or not. Whether you're 5 or 105, floor curling is an option. Some people are scared of being on the ice, therefore floor curling's an option. It's much more accessible. All you need is a flat level surface. Doesn't even need to be something as big as a sports hall, community hall, classroom, nursing home, care home, you name it. It should be able to be played anywhere and everywhere.
Of course, we're here at the Stirling International, which I'm going to call it for short because I've already forgotten the full title. How do events like this contribute to that wider awareness, accessibility? Is it a matter of seeing it and being aware that you can become it?
Yeah, I think visibility is huge. I remember going to a Leap Sports tri-curling session and someone went, "Oh, I didn't realise you could curl in a wheelchair." And it was almost that, okay. It's almost, if you don't see it, you don't know you can. So therefore, something like this where you've got teams from all over the world, it's Paralympic season, things are ramping up, but for anyone and everyone to just see someone stick curling or someone wheelchair curling, you name it, being able to have somebody potentially like them curling makes them go, if they can, I can.
For curling, is it a matter of it's probably the last great hurdle for the sport? It's a well over 500-year-old sport. It's developed so much in that time. But is the reality of it that there's still a lot of elements of it with the tradition and heritage perhaps holding us back a little bit?
I'm going to say yes. I think that, again, wheelchair curling's fairly new. I also think wheelchair curling doesn't need to be a standalone sport. Why can't somebody in a wheelchair curl with someone that uses a stick with 2 people that are sliding. So actually having that option, having that openness, inclusiveness to actually anyone should be able to curl with anyone, and that's probably the one sentence I say more in my job than any, because to me anyone should curl with anyone and it shouldn't be that difficult.
And of course there is no real reason that shouldn't happen, is there? Because there's no difference to the outcome. Obviously there's no sweeping in wheelchair curling.
No.
But, you know, everyone cannot sweep. And
Yeah,
everyone can see how difficult curling really is.
Yeah, I do think sweepers can play a pretty big role, whereas with wheelchair curling, as soon as that stone's gone, it's gone. So there's no one that can change its path, shall we say.
Which we saw at the Grand Slam when
a fabulous shot.
Mowat and White boys were both.
Yeah.
But when they were playing with the wheelchair curlers, in that exhibition match, you saw the accuracy go through the roof for the.
Everyone can do it together,
curlers.
And it's not that difficult. Yes, there's obviously little things that need to be decided. If one team's playing another team, some sweep, some don't. It is, there are things that need to be talked about, questioned, and agreed between teams if that's the way it is. But actually, at the same time, it's really not that difficult. And just having everyone playing with everyone, I think everybody will learn stuff. I think that the able-bodied guys will learn stuff from the wheelchair curlers in terms of, they have to be so much more accurate. Again, even the way they see the ice, because they're sat down, it's lower. What perception do they get of where the stones are compared to someone that's 6 foot tall and stood up? So, yeah, I think that everyone should be able to, but it always comes down to, I think, coaches not necessarily being scared, but sometimes it is a bit daunting. Somebody turns up with a visual impairment. How do I teach them how to curl? How do I help them? How do I, if you've never come across someone with a disability, it can be a bit daunting, but that's where we're here to hopefully change that narrative, and everyone becomes much more, not even welcoming, but almost sure of themselves that they can coach, and actually everyone's just trying their best.
And is that ultimately the advice you'd give to somebody? Because there is definitely that element of as you say, fear when a club's trying to look to be fully inclusive, and no one I would say sets out to try and not be, but there can be that fear and that barrier. What advice would you give to people who are looking to bring more wheelchair curlers, more visually impaired curlers into their club and truly be open to all?
So I think there's 2 things. I'm obviously always open to anyone asking questions as to how. I am running various inclusive curling workshops for coaches. Again, I would like people to sign up and be involved and learn, and some stuff might be things they already know. There might be other stuff that they go, oh, okay, I didn't realise that, or I didn't know that. But also it's understanding that someone's in a wheelchair, they're not going to bite your head off if you say something wrong, just like if you say something wrong to someone that stood up, so it is that actually, if you do a try curling, yes, everyone turns around and says, oh, they're always inclusive to everyone, but does it actually state that anywhere? Does it say open to all disabilities, open to anyone and everyone, or is it, well, we are, but we just haven't said that we are? So sometimes maybe being slightly more apparent with being inclusive also potentially helps.
And you've already mentioned that obviously it's a big year for curling generally, but for wheelchair curling especially, it's one of the 6 events in the Winter Paralympic Games.
Yeah.
How important is that representation at obviously at that much higher level?
I think it's huge. I think the fact that we've qualified as a team, and also mixed doubles, first time ever mixed doubles at Paralympics, again, is massive. Coming away with silver in Scotland back in March, again, it just hopefully shows people what a great sport curling is, wheelchair curling is, having that actually anyone can do it. And just filtering that down to everyone, I think, the fact that Scotland, Paralympics, GB, etc., they have got teams there competing. Something like mixed doubles, I'm going to say, will be an interesting one because no one's ever done it before at that level. So, yes, we did very well at Worlds.
It does feel like
who
a
know
really
what,
open
where, and how,
field,
why.
doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
It could go either way. What does success look like for you in 5 years? What does a legacy from Paralympics, from Auchenharvey, from the work that Scottish curling are doing, that British curling are doing, what does success look like? I know that's a big question.
It's a tough question, and it's almost one that I could answer in many ways. Part of me says that success looks like, for example, a wheelchair club in every rink. But actually, part of me questions that, and actually, is it just anyone curling anywhere? Ideally, there's more wheelchair curlers out there that, are scattered around rinks everywhere. It's a really hard one, because to me, just having anyone being able to turn up at a rink and curl and being welcomed with open arms is kind of how I want it to be. Inclusion, just with everything. Almost, it's not a second thought, it's not a purposeful thought. It should just be part of everyday life, which I know the world wasn't made for wheels, but we all need to get better at making it that way, making curling that way.
For anyone listening who's maybe thought about getting into the sport before, what would your advice be to them for going forward, and why should they look at curling as a place for them?
I think curling's a sport that when you know, but until you know, you don't know. And it is very much a case of, it isn't just chucking stones down the ice, it's the tactical side of it as well. It is I always say it's chess on ice, and you've always got to be 3 steps ahead. You've always got to be, thinking of, if we do this, what will the other team do? So I think there is that instant competition. The minute someone throws a stone down the ice or floor curling down a hall, if anyone gets anywhere near that house, I can guarantee you the other team, the other person, whoever it is going to want to beat you. And I think we all know that, we all smile at that, and I think that actually it isn't a sport where you'll necessarily get battered and bruised, but it is that the mental side of the game, I think, is massive, and competition's huge.
And of course, there's so much more than the sort of elite level curling. There's friendships to be made. There's
100%. It is that social side of it as well. Meeting new people, whether that's in clubs, whether that's at rinks, whether that's at competitions. It might be that actually there is someone that is fairly newly injured in a wheelchair. It's a new world for them. They've never been in that situation before, but actually potentially going on to play in a club, be part of a club, train with a club, they get to meet other people in a chair, and they can then go and potentially get questions answered about the future, what it looks like for them. And everyone's a friendly bunch, and everyone's there to help one another at the end of the day.
And anyone can get in touch with you?
100%, I'm always there.
So you can visit the Scottish Curling website at scottishcurling.org and hit our staff page where all Rhiannon's details are there. And as she said, she's always at the other end of the phone if you're looking for a chat. Rhiannon, thanks for sitting down with me.
Thanks very much.
We'll be here at the Stirling Wheelchair International Invitational at the Peak all week. For now, see you soon.
Thank you very much.